creativity, it's not like God needs it.
Yeah.
Okay. God didn't need the tabernacle to look like this.
Yeah.
God doesn't need my help, but it's really cool that he wants it.
Yeah.
And that, if he's going to build a tabernacle for him to dwell in, why don't we make it look cool?
Yeah.
That he didn't say that's not the scripture.
Yeah.
But that's kind of when you read what these guys did and all the ornate and intricate work that they did, it would have been nice looking.
Yeah.
It would have been creative and beautiful. And people would have thought, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's because these guys were made for this.
Yeah.
And so it's very humbling. And this passage and these men inspire me kind of retroactively.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is why God gave you this ability. And so it's okay to be creative and not know what to do with it yet. Yeah. It's okay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Authentic Christian Podcast. I'm Aaron, this is Jeremy, and today we're talking about creative ways to engage your kids in learning about God. All right, so welcome back. Another episode of the Authentic Christian Podcast. I'm really excited about the episode today. Jeremy Pate is my guest. Jeremy works at Apologetics Press. I'm very excited to have you here, brother.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've talked about this on different episodes of the podcast, but when I'm 41 now, I think that's right, 41. I get my age wrong once. I was like, I'm 35. My wife's like, you're 36.
That's why we get married.
No, I'm 41. That's right. I know I'm 41. But like 20 years ago, I was in college and I was studying biology. I wanted to be a doctor, so like a pre-med, like tracked. And I remember one of my first or second years there, I remember the classroom I was sitting in. It's like with the stadium seating. And I remember it was maybe evolutionary biology class. And at the very beginning of the semester, the teacher came in and essentially said, how many of you believe the Bible? And I remember raising my hand. There was a couple other people in the class. It was West Virginia, so like, fairly religious, atmosphere. And he didn't come out and say like, I'm going to disprove it, but he said like, we're going to go over some things in this class that might sort of question your faith. if you want to talk to me about it, you can. Well, then we started talking about dinosaurs and evolution and the age of the earth, things I don't want to say never heard of. I'm sure my preacher where I grew up preached on it. I probably just wasn't paying attention. But I remember either my dad or my preacher, when I had some of these questions I was kind of shaken up about, and they referred me to Apologetics Press. And I remember reading some of the articles, and that was the first time that I heard about and had been introduced to Apologetics Press. And that's been 20 years ago. And so every time I've been somewhere, whether I've met Dave, Miller, Jeff, or Kyle, or, Kyle Butt, Eric Lyons, for people that don't know who that is, all the AP guys, AP's always had like a special place for me because I look back and who knows providentially what would have happened had someone not said, have you looked into Apologetics Press? But AP has been it's been so influential in my faith that I'm excited. I think you're the first guy I've had on the podcast from AP. I texted Rob Baker. I told Rob, I was like, I still want to have you on. I know what topics I want to talk about. And, but I'm excited to have you on today and, hope to have all the other AP guys on episodes. I told Eric and Kyle, maybe I need to like take us down there and film down there, maybe to make it easier.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So sorry, you had to drive, but
no, I had a good time driving.
Good, man.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited. Let me give you a little bit of a bio about Jeremy. Okay. So Jeremy's been married to his wife, Brooke, for 20 years, 4 children, Ava, Greta, Willa, and Prentice. So hello, shout out to your kids. He serves as the preaching minister and one of the deacons for the Dalrata Church of Christ in Montgomery, Alabama. Before moving to Montgomery, you served in full-time youth and family ministry for 18 years in Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. And you have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design and Illustration from MTSU, which is one of the things I'm excited to talk about today, and a Master's in Ministry from Freed-Hardeman. And you're at Apologetics Press, your official title is what?
The Youth Publications Coordinator.
Okay. And you've been there about
7 years.
Yeah. Okay. I've been at
Almost
GBN.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been at GBN about the same length of time. So I know I talk about AP all the time. It's meant so much to me. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to have you come today was, I think it maybe was at Apologetics or at Polishing the Pulpit, maybe 2 years ago, or maybe it's 3 years ago. It's whenever you had released the Noah.
The VBS.
VBS. Yeah. And I remember the first time I saw the poster of Noah who's like jacked. I was like, yes, that is it. Because I remember always thinking, everyone depicts Noah as like this old decrepit man, but if he's so close to like the perfect genetics of Adam and Eve, and there are these remnants of giants, I'm not saying I know this, but I always envision Noah as like a 10-foot tall, just like swole, like Schwarzenegger kind of guy. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, but when I saw the way you guys had depicted Noah, I remember loving it and thinking it just looked so good. And I don't know if we had met before that, but I remember going by the PTP booth and being like, this is amazing. Like, who did this? And like, you're one of the primary animators. How does it work? Like when you guys are releasing all this content,
yeah.
Like who does a lot of the artwork, the graphic? Are there other guys? I know like Rob does a lot of like book design. He helped me with some of the stuff for my books, but how does that work with like the artwork kind of stuff?
Well, it depends on whose project it is.
Okay.
You know, if most of the books that AP puts out, Rob is doing probably the layout, the cover, things like that. There have been a few books that I have laid out, and done the covers for, but the Vacation Bible School material, that's coming out of my office. That's what I did all day, every day from 2019 up until, probably last year.
That's awesome.
I was still working on it, and I did 5 of those packages. And so all of the artwork in there was my work. And some, like the cover of Dinosaurs Unleashed.
Yeah.
We did a little dinosaur field journal a few years back that I did the artwork for. So there's a few things that I've done covers for, but VBS has been kind of my job for the first 5 years of being at AP. So that's kind of where you see most of my work.
Did you always know that you wanted to like be involved with create? Like, how did you find that creative vein? Like, have you always been creative? Like, were you drawing? Like, I drew things as a kid. They're awful,
Well, mine were too. I just thought they were good.
Yeah.
That's the difference. They were probably awful as well, but I had a different take on it because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And so I guess you probably know this. If you love something, you keep doing it.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing it, you get better.
Yeah.
And, after a certain amount of time, it sort of became obvious that that's something I really was interested in.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I had no idea what I was going to do with that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And to be, to my shame, I hadn't really asked the question, what does God want to do with it?
Yeah.
And so it was more about, how do I get a job and how do I make a living and how do I, for lack of a better word, how do I make my name in this business? And I was a colossal failure in that regard, which was God's way of saying, I have other things for you to do. And so when I got into youth ministry and family ministry, that was an outlet for it, for sure. And I got to do a lot of really creative and artistic things in that regard. But it was, when Eric called me to come to AP in 2019, that's really when I felt like God was ready to sort of wring me out, if you will, creatively. And that's been what the experience has felt like in a wonderful way, to be able to serve in that way and see him use that for his glory. Yeah. And most people don't know who I am, and I'd rather keep it that way.
Yeah. Well, sorry
to be, if that didn't come across, but it's been a great joy to see something that I have always loved, but not really ever known what to do with. Yeah. To be used in that way for the kingdom is pretty neat.
Well, I just think, like, I've made this joke before that with creative stuff, I made this joke to someone the other day and they laughed. It was like, I want to produce like video content so well that someone sees it and they're like, that has to be denominational. Like, there's no way that members of the church did that.
We get that a lot.
And see, that's because I know for a long time, and in a lot of ways, we're behind the curve on some things, like creatively. And so some of the stuff that you guys have done, which, we have some stuff here on the table that we're going to talk about later that I think even as an adult, it's like some of the coolest stuff ever, but I'm just teasing it now. So you're going to have to wait till the end, but hang around to the end because we're going to do some giveaways. So the stuff that we're going to talk about here, AP and Jeremy brought a lot of these, and we're going to actually do some giveaways on our social media. So hang tight. we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can use this content at the end of the lesson. So we're going to get into sort of the meat of the lesson now, which is we want to talk about creative ways of educating our children in their faith. You know, because like I have 4 kids. You have 4 kids too? Okay. Yeah. My kids are much younger. But if you watch, you know, the podcast, we've talked about different ways of strengthening your faith with the Apologetics Press, Defending the Faith Study Bible. In the commercials, I got to be the bad villain, like the bad villain professor.
You loved it.
That was trying to I've got fake glasses. And I was like, you know, who thinks the earth is young?
Right.
And then Brandon Blackwell got to hold up his, you know, Defending the Faith Study Bible. He was ready to answer.
Commercial.
Oh, well.
Y'all did a good job with it.
I forget who did the production of it. I don't remember if it was Tucker or Aaron Washington. I can't remember when it was done, but they did a great job. So, but we know that training our children is our responsibility. You know, in the Bible, it talks about parents and grandparents. A lot of times today, seems like sometimes people think it's the government's job, or maybe even, well, it's the government's going to educate my kids secularly, but like religiously, well, that's not my job. That's the Bible class teachers at the church. And there's a passage that I'm going to tell you the real context, so you don't think that I'm butchering the context like unintentionally. But in 1 Kings 20, in 1 Kings 16, it starts talking about Ahab, how wicked he is and how he married Jezebel and all this. But in 1 Kings 20, Israel is fighting against Syria, and Ahab wins the battle. But instead of killing Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, he makes a treaty with him. And so God sends a prophet to him. It's an unnamed prophet, although Jewish like uninspired tradition says that it's Micaiah who shows up later. Anyway, so it's this unnamed prophet, and he shows up in 1 Kings chapter 20 and verse 40. He's just finished telling King Ahab about how, you know, he says, hey, look, I was supposed to take care of this prisoner and I lost him. And, you know, basically, sorry, I lost him. And King Ahab's like, well, you should be put to death. And he says, actually, that's what you did with Ben-Hadad. But anyway, so that's the context. I know what the context is. All right. But in 1 Kings 20 and verse 40, the text says this. He says he was supposed to be watching this prisoner of war. He says, but while your servant was busy here and there, his prisoner of war, he was gone. And the king of Israel said, so shall your judgment be, you have decided it. And the reason that verse always comes to mind in a different context is I think in a lot of cultures around the world, but I'm speaking mainly to America, the parents are busy here and there. And then their children, the ones they're supposed to be watching, are gone. Yeah. And it's the idea that, I know I'm stretching the context a bit, but the point is someone was supposed to be watching. There were those under their charge. They weren't watching. And what happened? The ones who are under their charge are what? They're gone. And I have a lot of parents who will come to me when I'm traveling, I'm sure you do too, and say like, you know, my kids are 16, 17, 18, 20. They've left the faith. Like, what do I do? And I'm not saying that it's like, well, there's nothing you can do. You missed your chance. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying for those of you that have small children or small grandchildren, like now is the best time to really hone in and try to teach them so that you don't find yourself one day wondering, is there anything else I could have done? Look, God was the perfect parent and his children, you know, strayed. So, but we're talking about educating or trying to train our children. I heard one person call it NASCAR parenting in America, which is you got multiple kids. Each kid's got different ball games across town and practices and rehearsals and all these different things. And things get faster and faster paced. And then before you know it, your kid's grown and you haven't done anything. So we want to talk about in this episode some ways, some things to keep in mind, some dangers, and some things that we can do to educate the next generation. What are some thoughts you have? I know I've been talking for like the last 4 or 5 minutes, but.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. When you use that example from Kings, it made me think of Ezekiel 33 and the Watchman.
Yeah.
Where, you know, God says, you know, if you warn these people and they don't listen, it's on them.
Yeah.
But if you don't warn them, it's on you.
Yeah.
And so that rings true with me as a parent in the sense that, you know, I've got the responsibility as a parent to teach and train and discipline and disciple my children, but it's their choice ultimately.
Yeah.
And I don't need to add to that responsibility by saying, you know, I've got to get these kids to heaven. Well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so that would cause me undue anxiety and stress and guilt if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't need to take away from that responsibility either.
Yeah.
There's no one else that I can count on. There's no one else that God has instructed to do that, at least not in that same way. Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. It is a sobering responsibility, and it's not something that anyone else we can delegate.
It's interesting. I saw a quote on Facebook, I think this morning. It was like a picture that somebody shared, and they said, "You can't take anything to heaven except your kids." And I remember seeing it saying, like, I know what you're getting at, but the truth is, like, you can't take them, but you have the responsibility to teach them the best you can, so that hopefully, like, you build that foundation for them, so that one day, they will hopefully choose to be faithful.
Yeah. You mentioned God as the perfect father who, if I understand Luke 15 properly, both of the sons in that parable, had some problems.
They did.
And so even perfect parents, which they don't exist, should not expect perfect kids. It's just not what humanity is going to do.
Yeah.
So we have to be realistic.
Yeah.
But we also have to be spiritually minded.
I remember I was on a work trip in Illinois once, and I was in a hotel getting ready in the morning, and I was traveling. I didn't have a car, so someone was picking me up to go to worship. And I remember sitting in the lobby, and there was like 15 or 20 young kids in their uniforms. I knew they're baseball players immediately. Right. And I remember just thinking on a Sunday morning, like, those kids' parents,
sad. Yeah.
They're not, kids don't know any better. But I was thinking, and maybe the parents weren't taught by their parents, but I remember thinking, like, they should be in worship. And honestly, we live in Hernando, South Haven, Olive Branch area. And most times after worship on Sunday mornings, we'll go to like certain restaurants, and there's a big, baseball complex here. So there's tons of times where we'll get out of worship and go, and there's kids in their baseball uniforms. And I think sometimes this idea of NASCAR parenting in America maybe is we have filled our plates so full, or a lot of people have filled their plates so full that they left God out of the equation.
One of the saddest things that I've seen, and you've probably seen too, is you can do the same thing in the church.
Yeah.
You can fill your plate with good things and important things and service and attendance and youth group and mission trips, and lose your kids too.
Yeah.
And leave God out of all of that.
Yeah.
As ironic as that sounds, people do it all the time.
Yeah. Someone at Polishing the Pulpit one year, I was on like a 7-person panel, and somebody said, they didn't mention the person, but they said that there was a preacher who had said once that he was so busy trying to save the world that he had lost his kids. And I don't know.
I've heard that too.
But it's the idea of, we as parents need to try and instill in our kids and do everything that we can to build that foundation for them and to protect them from bad things, but also instill them with good things. And I think, Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So seek first the kingdom. And a lot of times we'll say, it's like the idea of, like, will you honor me with your lips, but your heart's far from me? No. Of course. I mean, I don't know these people, but I'm sure if I went up to the parents, I wouldn't do this probably to a Mexican restaurant, but and said like, hey, do you all, believe in God? I'm sure they'd say yes. And I'd say, do you guys seek the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'd be like, I wouldn't do this, but it's not probably the most tactful way, but well, then why aren't your kids in services this morning? I'm not saying that. I'm saying a lot of people would say, oh no, we put Jesus first, but maybe in their actions, they're not carrying that out, Anyway, okay. So let's talk about whose job it is to teach our children, right? I mentioned this earlier. I want to read Deuteronomy chapter 4. In Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 9 through 10, it's 2 chapters before Deuteronomy 6, the passage we normally reference, but this also talks about educating. It says in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 9, take heed to yourself and diligently keep yourself, lest you forget the things your eyes have seen, lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life, and teach them to your children and your grandchildren, especially concerning the day you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, it's Mount Sinai, when the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, and I will let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and that they may teach their children. And so I love the Bible class teachers at our congregation. They do a great job. Like, they have done so many great things in teaching my kids, but I try to remind myself that they're supposed to be the supplement, right? Like, my main job as a parent is to teach them about God and to build that foundation for them, and it's not the people at the congregation. It's not like if my kid goes astray that I can blame them,
It's funny you mentioned supplements. We started a new doctor this year.
Yeah.
And I've got more supplements than honestly that I can count. It took me longer to pack my supplements this morning than it did my clothes, my other stuff. And I'm thankful for them.
Yeah.
But if all I took was my supplements, I would not make it.
Yeah.
And so that word is really important. And as valuable as those are, I'm glad I have them.
Yeah.
I think they make me healthier.
Yeah.
And I'll take more if the doctor
right.
says I need more, but I'm not going to stop eating and exercising and taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point. And that's a good illustration of how important it is to be on a steady diet, as it were, with your kids, spiritually and biblically and in all other ways.
Yeah. And later in Deuteronomy 6:4-9, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, with all your strength. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children. And it gives you 4 categories of time when. You shall teach them, you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. So basically, when you're in your house, when you walk in your house, out of your house, when you rise up and lie down, it's pretty much all day. Like you wake up in the morning, you're teaching your kids, you're in your house, you leave your house, you come back to your house, you're teaching your kids. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand and frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And, essentially be teaching your kids all the time. It should be in the place you live. It should be out of the place you live. I've said this before in an episode. I went to a Orthodox Jewish person's home once, and they had Torah scrolls on their doorposts. And I remember asking them, I said, are these Torah scrolls? I knew they were Orthodox Jewish. And they said, yeah, they are. And I said, what do they say? They said, oh, I have no idea. And I remember thinking, I don't think that's the point. When he says bind it on your wrists and your forehead, the Pharisees used to make these big boxes called phylacteries. The word in Greek means like amulet, protection. And they had this idea that if they have scripture on a scroll in their hand or their forehead, it's going to protect them. It's like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying write it on your heart, have it in your mind. The things you think, the way you live, your hands, the things you do, like always have scripture in the forefront of your mind. And yet this person did exactly what the Pharisees did, was I'm like, is this supposed to protect, what's it say? Like, I don't have no idea what it says, but it's something from the Bible, And I saw the same thing on Facebook. I saw a King James, it was a necklace. Yeah. And it had it was like the entire King James Bible engraved in miniature font on this necklace. And I'm like,
how useless is that?
You can't read it, so it's like, it's there. It's not like, I got the King James right here, I'm religious. Like, no, it's got to be in our minds and our hearts. Yeah. And so that's what it's talking about, teaching your children. Teach them all the time. And I know my goal, this is funny to say this, my dad watches all the podcast episodes, but my goal as a parent is for me to say the same things in like such repetition that when I was growing up, anytime I saw an animal, we were driving, like saw a white-tailed deer, my dad would be like, no, son. And I'm like, I know, Dad, I know evolution can never produce this. And as a teenager, it was kind of like, oh man, here we go again. Yeah. But now as an adult, like I'm driving down the road with my kids and I pass a whitetail and I'm like, now listen, so these ideas of my dad just hammered that stuff home to where when I was younger, I was like, I don't like this. But now as an adult, like I appreciate it so much. So this idea of just teaching your kids all the time, and teaching them about God to sort of set this, this foundation up, and asking yourself, what do I really want for my kids? Like, what is the ultimate goal? I think some people's ultimate goal is, I played sports. I wanted to be, 7th grade, I would have told you I was going to be in the NBA. Didn't pan out for me. But some people's goal for their kids seems to be just athlete, rich, wealthy. And all I want for my kids is to be Christians.
Yeah, me too.
Like everything else to me, I remember Guy in Woods, who's a guy. I'd read those writings, Guy in Woods, and some guy came up to me. He's like, I've never heard of him. I was like, yeah, he's a writer. He's like, you mean like Man in Tree? I was like, man in tree. It's like, yeah, guy in the woods. I'm like, oh, I'd never put those two and two together. Anyway, so Guy in Woods said he was preaching somewhere about like dancing or like, not like the hokey pokey, but like bad dancing. And a lady came up to him and she was like so offended. And she said, my daughter dances to be graceful. And Guy in Woods said, I would rather my daughter waddle like a duck into heaven than dance gracefully into hell. Like the idea that stuck with me was everything you should be teaching your kids should be with the goal of getting them to go to heaven. You know, that's all I want for my kids. I don't care if they're rich. I don't care if they're famous. I don't care if they're, you know, seen as super, super knowledgeable. I just want them to go to heaven, you know? So what are different ways that we can do that? You know, I think when I'm thinking about Jesus, well, I think the first thing you need to do as a couple or as a parent is to define your priorities and make sure that the thing that's at the top of the priorities of the priority list for your children is their spiritual development. You know, I think about Jesus and how the law of Moses only required, I think, the males to actually go up 3 times a year to Jerusalem. And yet when I look at the life of boy Jesus, the mother went. And at least it says to me that spirituality was at the top of their list.
It was their custom. That word comes up a lot in that chapter.
That's right.
That was what they did.
That's right. And you see the result, Luke 2:52, it talks about how he grew in wisdom, stature, and favor with God and favor with men. So it's like putting your spiritual development of your kids at the forefront of their list of goals for your children is going to hopefully set that foundation for them.
Now, have you noticed in that story that, you know, they've been doing this for 12 years, supposedly. They take him to this feast. He gets lost from them and they go back and look for him. And after 3 days, they find him in the temple.
Yep.
Which means they looked everywhere else first.
Yeah.
And when he explains to them, don't you know that this is where I would be, basically is what he says.
Yeah.
And the Bible says they don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me as a parent, because it's like you can get so caught up in your spiritual routine of trying to raise your kids right that you forget why you're doing it sometimes.
Yeah.
And when your kid finally latches onto it, sometimes you don't see it and you don't get it. And it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we've been making all these trips to Jerusalem for 12 years. Like it worked.
How would you not remember like the virgin birth?
Exactly.
You know, like, but you're right. Maybe they just thought.
I don't know that that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that 3 days,
3 days
you didn't
to
look
find
at the temple.
Yeah.
That's interesting because, you know, that's how you've been raising him for all this time.
Yeah. You know, okay. So we're talking about making a priority to teach our kids. And one of the points this episode is not to say like, you know, do Bible reading with your kids. You should do that, right? But we talked, and I specifically wanted you to come to talk about creative ways to teach our kids about God. So like, if I asked you, what do you see in scripture that has something to do with creativity? What would you say? Would you say like, well, God's not creative, you know? Or would you say, no, there's plenty of creativity in the Bible?
Well, to say God's not creative,
that's
would
self-defeating.
Be the ultimate heresy, I would think, and the ultimate obvious untruth. God's incredibly creative, and that's probably where
he's the creator
comes from. And so, but I do remember as a kid, as a creative kid, just not hearing much about this in the church. I don't fault anybody for it, but I didn't have any idea, you know, what the Bible had to say about that.
Yeah. And
I was an adult before I discovered a couple of guys named Bezalel and Aholiab.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Most people have not.
The only, you know, I'll tell you the reason I actually didn't know much about them individually, other than one of them is the grandson of,
there you go.
Her.
Right.
Which is the only reason I was studying her. That's the only reason I found that.
Well, before we read a section together in Exodus 31 is where we'll go in a minute. But I noticed this as I was getting ready to talk to you.
Okay.
Bezalel and Aholiab are mentioned, I think, 8 times.
Wow.
In the Bible, which is more times than the rich young ruler.
Really?
More times than Nicodemus. More times than Zacchaeus. More times than the thief on the cross. All of which we've heard about since we were children.
Yeah.
And yet you have these guys, they're not mentioned one time casually, flippantly. 8 times. Full chapters in Exodus have to do with what they did. And I'd never heard of them. So if you'll go to Exodus 31.
All right, I'm there.
This is what I tell people when I get a chance to talk about creativity. Starting in verse 1, the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with ability and intelligence, with knowledge and all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, to work in every craft. And behold, I have appointed with him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, and I have given to all able men ability, that they may make all that I have commanded you, the tent of meeting, and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is on it, and all the furnishings of the tent, the table and its utensils, and the pure lampstand with all its utensils, and the altar of incense. And on this goes. You could keep reading. And what you see here is that there's a tremendous amount of work, creative craftsmanship type work that needed to be done. And God already knew who he had in mind to do that work. And he gave them everything they needed to do it. And there's so many lessons here and so many questions. Like if I was to ask you or any kid out there who's listening, where did your talents come from? Well, everybody says God, but do you really believe that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they get really good at something, they've worked so hard at that point that they forget that.
They want to take the credit for it.
They want the credit.
Yeah.
They want their name attached to it.
Yeah.
And so God says, no, I gave all of this to you. Now, what had these 2 men done with these talents up to this point? All I can say is, I don't know, but they had done something.
Yeah, I figured they were fairly creative already.
They've been doing something. They've made stuff. They've created stuff. They've done some artwork. They've carved some stuff out of wood, and they've probably lived their whole life thinking, what is this? What is the point of this? And what am I supposed to do with this? Kind of like I did. Yeah. And piddling with it, if you will. Yeah. And then one day, you get a call from Moses. Yeah. Hey, he's like, "Hey, is this Bezalel?
God's dwelling place on earth, the tabernacle? I need some help.
You guys, I got a job for you." And probably nobody heard of Bezalel and Aholiab before that. There's a big group of people in this camp. Yeah. But I bet you everybody knew who they were.
Oh, yeah.
When this thing got finished with construction, right? Because it was kind of all, headed by them. And so why did God give them these abilities? Well, they didn't know the answer to that question up until this point. And so what I like to tell kids, and especially kids who love to draw, or they love to paint, or they love to build stuff, keep practicing, keep doing it, get as good as you can. And one of these days, somebody's going to call you up in the name of the Lord in some ways,
find a way
and have a job for you that only you can do, that God had in mind when he made you. Yeah. What a cool thought. Yeah. And so creativity, it's not like God needs it. Yeah. Okay. God didn't need the tabernacle to look like this. Yeah. God doesn't need my help, but it's really cool that he wants it. Yeah. And that, if he's going to build a tabernacle for him to dwell in, why don't we make it look cool? Yeah. That he didn't say, that's not the scripture. Yeah. But that's kind of when you read what these guys did and all the ornate and intricate work that they did, it would have been nice looking. Yeah. It would have been creative and beautiful. And people would have thought, I can't do that. Yeah. Well, that's because these guys were made for this. Yeah. And so it's very humbling. And this passage and these men, inspire me kind of retroactively. Yeah. Like, hey, this is why God gave you this ability. And so it's okay to be creative and not know what to do with it yet. Yeah. It's okay.
Well, yeah. This is a different vein, but I think back over the years of different things that have happened in my life to lead me to where I'm at. Like I joke about the first time I was ever on camera was at I hosted a TV show, a gun show. And I filmed like my first segment, and Stacy was the producer. If he ever watches this, it was in Illinois. That's where they filmed it. It's crazy. Of all the like states to film a gun show, they filmed Illinois. They credits with the state anyway. So like he films the first thing, and he comes to me. He's like, Aaron, come back here. So he has me come back around where they had all the cameras. He's like, are you excited to be here? I said, absolutely. This is like the coolest job ever, to get to shoot guns and get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, look at you. He showed me the clips. Look at yourself on camera. And I watched it. He's like, you look miserable. And I remember being like, well, I'm happy to be here. And he's like, no, but on camera, like you have to be like animated,
right?
And he said, I want you to go try it again, but like overplay it way up. And I remember he said, it's going to feel so awful. And I did that. And it
especially on a gun show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on YouTube. You search Aaron Gallagher, Gallery of Guns. It's all over YouTube.
He's so excited to be shooting these guns.
It's like the greatest job ever. Like the reason I don't shoot guns more now is because ammo is expensive, right?
It's true.
So they paid, it was cool. But I remember he said, it's going to feel awkward. And I remember I felt like a clown. Like I was just so like, hi, I'm Aaron. That's the way it felt. But then I saw it on camera. It looked normal. And now for me looking back, like after that all happened, I came to GBN and started doing the podcast and started like doing this kind of stuff. And I'm sure that if I did this kind of stuff without that experience, I would be like this the whole show. Like it wouldn't be. Yeah. Like, are you happy to be here? Yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you, Jeremy. But like things that happen in your life that in the moment you don't realize what, but then you look back at hindsight and you're like, wow, this feels like all these different steps were leading to these different, moments to where now everything fits together. So yeah, like if you're a creative person, don't feel like, I've heard people say before, well, what do you need an art degree from a college? You don't need an art to be, it's like, well, you don't need an art degree to be a faithful Christian, but like you could do some cool stuff with it, know, which we're about to talk about here in a minute,
It's called burying the lead, I think.
Burying the lead?
Isn't that what you call it in this business when you tell somebody you're going to be getting to something cool, but you don't do it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Burying the lead, right? Okay, well, you know what? It's funny. Actually, I have in my notes that after we talked about that, let's show some people some of this stuff. Okay. So here comes the lead. We're the lead. Unburying.
We are digging it up.
Yes. Thanks for watching the Authentic Christian podcast. If you want to watch more content like the Authentic Christian, different programs, other podcasts that you want to learn about the Bible, I'd recommend you download our app, the Gospel Broadcasting Network app. Just get on the App Store. You also can find it on Roku, iTunes, etc. Search Gospel Broadcasting Network, download the app, and you can see the show, The Authentic Christian, and many, many other shows, dozens of shows, other podcasts, other shows that walk you through verse by verse through different books of the Bible, or even just different topical shows. So I would recommend you download the Gospel Broadcasting Network app. Thanks for watching. So with creative ways to teach our children, you have done some things at Apologetics Press that I just think are amazing. So I want to go through some of these. You brought some samples, which is awesome. And we're going to be doing giveaways. So if you have Facebook, Instagram, follow the Authentic Christian and GBN, the Gospel Broadcasting Network. Our social media, probably on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, but I don't know. Follow both of them and you won't miss it. We're going to be doing some giveaways when this episode releases, which will be when, James? 26th of Happy Thanksgiving. Is that Thanksgiving? Before Thanksgiving. Nah, Thanksgiving's, yeah, this is Wednesdays. All right. The Wednesday before it, well, it won't matter because you'll be watching it. It's like for us. Anyway, so today, on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, go to a GBN social media and we're going to be doing some giveaways. So let's talk about these first.
Okay.
Which one you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about, since we're talking about families, let's talk about this book.
Yes. Okay.
And I guess I'll go ahead and open this book.
Okay.
This is brand new. This is called Discovering True Character. This is 200 family devotionals. And this was came on the heels of our Bible trading cards, which we can talk about in a few minutes. But we had all this really cool artwork that we generated for those cards.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be kind of a shame to, let it terminate with these cards. Was there anything else we could do with it? And so somebody had the idea. I don't remember who it was.
That's a great idea.
Could have been me, but I won't take any credit if it was.
Okay.
Because a lot of people have a lot of good ideas at AP. So this book basically takes that artwork which is mainly Bible characters. And basically, if you open the book up, on the left-hand side is just a text, a passage of scripture. And the family will read that together. And then they go over to the next page, and there's a series of, 4 questions, 5 questions where they just talk about it. There's nothing in depth here. There's nothing scholarly, so to speak, nothing crazy or difficult. It's just a chance to talk about the Bible together. And so you notice things, you ask things. Sometimes when we're doing this as a family, it does get pretty profound.
Yeah.
You'll ask a question that you think is simple, and it leads into a 20-minute discussion that it gets pretty deep. And so the older your kids are, the more likely that might happen. But it's just a kind of a tool to read together and study together and talk and pray together toward the end of this. Read another passage that has something to do with this text. And, if your kids have the Bible cards, they're twice as excited about this because, hey, I got that.
I've got that. I
character.
remember.
I got him last night in a pack of cards. So
I'm opening this up, but I already have one. This actually sits on my nightstand because, when the cards came out, my kids, I think I was like the biggest fan of them initially. I'm like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then the book came out and I took it home, and that's what my kids. So like every night before, it's like a routine. It sits on the nightstand, and before bed, we open up and read 2 or 3 of them.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a Bible degree to do this.
Yep.
A mom or a dad could pick this up out of the box.
Yeah. That's what I think is, I know the New Testament and the Old Testament really well, but when it's like, okay, I want to read them about a character. Like, I know Daniel, David. There's probably 30 I could off the top of my head. But once I tell those so many times, it's like, I want other characters. Yeah. So that's what I love about this is like, I just open up to Asahel, the brother of Joab, one of the 30 of the mighty men of David.
The fast one?
The fast one. Yeah. Yeah.
And see, I know that because I did a trading card of him running.
There you go.
So I remember that.
So for me, it's just amazing because I can like flip to any page. And what normally happens is my kids will look through and be like, oh, that's a cool picture. Like, who's this? And I'm like, this is the prophet Isaiah. And you read this passage, like from Isaiah 6. Like, could my kids have said, who's a Bible character? Well, let's talk about a prophet. And how about, yes, of course. But to me, it just makes it so much easier. Yeah. And there's so many that I'm looking through and I just remember reading them with my kids. Yeah.
It's a, we actually use this in our home. And so, I try to create things at AP that I would use and do use. And, I'm thinking not just as an artist. Yeah. I'm thinking as a dad. Yeah. And I'm thinking as a husband. Yeah. And so, this was just a no-brainer, and it came out really nice. Like, it's a nice book you can keep and pass on to your kids and grandkids and set it on your coffee table. And it's really, really affordable. Yeah. I think it's like $25 or something like that. Awesome. So AP tries to make things as cheap as we can. Yeah. But this is a great tool for families. Like, if you don't know what to do at home with Bible study, you're intimidated by the Bible, buy one of these, and this will get you probably through the year, doing a Bible study several times a week, using this. Yeah. So one of the things that Rob Baker works at AP. One of the things I've wanted Rob to come on and talk about is like family Bible time. Yeah. Like I had growing up, like we had it, I guess, but I didn't know what it was because my dad would just talk to us about stuff. But the idea of like, hey, once a day, 5-10 minutes, like you finish up dinner, you got your dessert, whatever. Hey, before we dismiss and go different ways, we're going to have a family Bible time, and I want Rob to come on and talk about some creative ways. Cause some of the things he's told me he did with his kids when they were younger were awesome. But for me, this is like a really cool thing. Cause you just have it, like you said, sit on your coffee table or like we have in our nightstand. And it's like at least once a day, you just open it up, you cover one story, or I normally say one, and then I read the one and they're like, Daddy, please. I'm like, okay, all right, 2 or 3. Yeah. But these stories. And for me too, there's sometimes where I'll be reading of one and I'll be like, oh yeah, that is cool. And then I want to go study the story because it, or the way it just, the images too, these guys just look epic, know? I'm looking at Absalom and I'm like, man,
that's not a dude I want to mess with, you know?
Good looking guy.
Yeah, that's right. His hair was his hair was so heavy. It was like a certain amount of shekels.
Yeah, they weighed it out every year.
His hair grew so much.
Yeah, mine doesn't.
It's like Fabio.
Much. We don't have that ceremony.
Good. That's right.
But
all right.
Okay, so the book is really cool.
The book is awesome.
Let's talk about
giving these away on social media. Go follow us on social media.
Let me open up a little box of these cards.
Oh, these are awesome, man.
I grew up with baseball cards and football cards, and later on, comic book cards, Spider-Man and Batman, and which ones am I going to get, and can I trade with my friends? And so I want to give full credit to where this idea came from.
Okay.
Jason Helton, who is the media minister at Madison.
Okay.
Jason Helton made some of these trading cards a few years ago, I think, and printed them on his own at a local print shop and cut them out and gave them, I believe, to his elders with the intention of generating conversations between the elders and the children in his congregation.
Yeah.
Like if you go up to your elders and say a memory verse, you'll get a Bible trading card of a judge or something.
What a great idea.
So Jason goes around and does workshops and seminars about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Quick plug for him. He does a great job with that.
That's cool.
So bring him to your church. But Chad Thompson, guy who works with us and does some fundraising for us, he sent us an email about that. He said, hey, Jason Hilton talked about Bible trading cards. What if we did some Bible trading cards? And so I got the email, and Kyle got the email, and Eric got the email, and I didn't think anything about it because I thought, well, that would be really cool, but I'm not going to get to do that. I don't get to pick my own jobs.
Yeah.
And then Kyle came in one day. He lives in Columbia. He was speaking at chapel in Faulkner, and he came in one day, and he and Eric were talking about, I heard them next door. I was eavesdropping a little bit. And they both came into my office and said, hey, we kind of want to see about this trading card idea. Do you think you could, work with this? And I had been working with AI for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, you go speak at chapel, and when you come back, I'll have one for you.
Okay.
And so when he got back, I had the first trading card generated, designed, laid out, cut out, and handed it to him.
Man.
And so they were kind of blown away by how quickly that happened.
Yeah.
By the end of that week, I had that entire series done. It was David's Mighty Men.
Yeah.
I had the whole series done. And so within 3 months, I had 365 Bible cards generated. Now, it took 4 months to proof them and correct them.
Yeah.
And then 5 months or so to get them printed.
Yeah.
But if you open a pack of these.
Can I just say, like, the reason I have this big smile on my face is like the way, like the presentation just looks so professional, which is so cool. Like I don't know who like the big, like Pokemon or whatever the big $1 million business is, like
probably billion.
Yeah. Like the box, like it's not like some cheap cardboard. Like you guys did it right, man.
Full props to the guys at AP, especially Tommy Hatfield, our general manager, who helped make this happen with the printer that we use in China.
I was going to say, did you go to somebody who already does this for like baseball cards, or
they did something like this because they said they would try to do it with us, but I think we all learned how to do this together.
That's cool.
But man, Tommy just went back and forth 250 plus emails trying to figure this out. And so you get 10 of these different cards if you open a pack, and you're going to get everything from kings and queens to David's Mighty Men to the Hall of Faith to the Women of Faith to the images of Jesus. And you collect them all.
Hey, I got my, so I got Aaron, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to,
without the golden calf.
You don't want to be like Aaron, but you can turn over on the back of them and you can read several facts about that character or that event. And you can see the scriptures at the bottom where you can find their story, and you could turn it to the side and see a little lesson that you can learn from that. Cool. You could use these as bookmarks in your Bible. You can trade these with your brothers or sisters or friends, or, a lot of churches are using these in their Bible classes.
Yeah.
You can, we gave a few packs to our neighbors just a couple of nights ago.
That's cool.
And, evangelism opportunities. You can create conversations with people. And so these have been, I'll just say, very well received.
Yeah.
And people seem to really enjoy them. People of all ages.
Oh, that's what I mean. I'm sitting here thinking like someone gave me a pack of like Pokemon cards. Like, no offense to Pokemon. I'd be like, that's cool. That's your thing. But like, you hand me, I got, Aaron, Joshua. I got Joshua 5:14, where Joshua meets the commander of the Lord's army, like the pre-incarnate Christ. Like that's cool.
That's awesome. Well, there was a lady at PTP this year. This may have been the best compliment I got all week. She said, my kid brought his Pokemon binder to PTP and he took all of his Pokemon cards out so he could put his Bible cards in. So that's pretty neat. But this was so much fun and such a great learning tool and teaching tool. And
I know my kids, when we opened up, because we already have the set, already have them in a binder and everything. I remember going to Walmart at like 9:00 at night and buying like a 2-inch binder, I think, and like all the like little clear
pages.
And I was opening them and they're like, Daddy, who's this? And most of the time I'm like, well, this is this. And then they'd be like, Daddy, who's this? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, okay, I got King Picaiah. I don't really know that much about him.
See,
like it's good for me. I need to learn. He's the 17th king of the northern kingdom of Israel.
We give our kids a pack a week, and cool. And they study them during the week.
Yeah,
and then at the end of the week, I give them a little quiz.
Oh, that's cool.
And if they get a certain percentage of them right, they get another pack.
Oh man!
And so they're collecting them. They're learning them at the same time. Lots of people do different things with them, but we've already got another set in the works that I'm working on right now. So there's more coming.
Oh man.
And it's just been a lot of fun, but it's been just so humbling and gratifying to see people are actually using these and people are learning about the Bible. And we had a lady come in to AP that last week, I think, to buy some for her son, some more for her son. And I was told that she was a little bit emotional. Yeah. And she said, we have had trouble getting our son to read.
Yeah.
And now he's coming to me reading these Bible cards and learning telling me about Bible characters. So it's really a blessing to a lot of people. And, this is not something that anybody at AP saw coming.
Yeah.
This is the work of the Lord.
Yeah.
Like we did not see this coming. We did not plan for this. We got an email about it.
That's so cool.
And less than a year later that here they are. And so it's neat to be able to be in a creative field and to have people like Eric who believe in you and believe in this ministry and believe in these ideas. And you can see something go from zero to in people's hands in less than a year and making a difference in their lives and in their families.
Well, I think about when I was like a teenager, like, of course, as an adult, the thing is, well, if we just read the Bible with our that's great. But like a lot of teenagers don't want to read. At least, no, I didn't want to read. Mm-hmm. But you put something like this, it's like using a creative outlet to where like, as a teenager, this would have been cool. I may have even been like, I didn't want to tell my parents how much I liked it, but
I'm 51 and when the first box came in, I was a kid again.
I was too when I was opening mine. I mean, it was funny too because I wanted when they open up like the set, it has the fold out piece of paper that gives you all of the checklist, like the checklist. Yeah. And I was 40. As a 40-year-old guy, I wanted to go through and like make the checklist. Yeah. And I think my wife was looking at me like, Aaron, just let the kids open them. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, I want to organize them. Like, I want to organize David's Mighty Men all together. My kids were like, who were much younger. They were like, let's just put them in the binder. I'm like,
do it right, kids. Come on.
Do it right. No, like I was a kid again too with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're giving these away on social media. And
they come in
not my set, but we're giving away some other sets.
The box you're holding is the 5-pack.
Okay.
It has 50 cards in it.
Okay.
You can buy the single pack that has 10. Or this box has 40 packs in it.
Okay.
Which is 400 cards, and that's the whole set.
Oh, cool.
It's guaranteed to have all the 365 cards in it, and there'll be 35 duplicate cards in there as well. So kids can trade with their friends or neighbors and give the rest away, as evangelism tools or just to encourage somebody. But this is how you get them all if you're interested in that.
It's funny. The one you have on the back is Benaniah,
that's son
of Jehoiada.
Is it really? That's the one that I made that day that Kyle came by and I held it up. That's my favorite
what's
card.
So funny about that card is when I think about these cards, that's the first one that comes to my mind because it's so like just, I don't know, baller.
That's the one Kyle said. I said, which one do you want to see? And he said, I want to see the Benaiah in the snowy pit.
Killed the lion in the pit.
Yeah.
So Kyle wanted that. That's so funny because that is the card that I remember looking at that one and thinking, man, this one's like epic.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Man. All right.
Very first one.
We're going to throw, obviously, if you're watching the episode, you've already seen some of these on screen, but we'll throw some of these graphics as we're talking about them on screen. So in the episode, we talked about the Apologetics Press Discovery Bible cards. And if you go to the website, apologeticspress.org, they have a section on there, Bible trading cards. And on that, it has lots of great information. I just scanned the QR code on the back of the box, but it has all kinds of tabs, including one on how to use the cards. And they actually have all of the artwork for all 365 cards on there for free. So you can check out the artwork, you can check out the information. Go ahead and check out apologeticspress.org, the Discovery Bible cards. Go get some before they're gone. Okay, what else did you bring?
So I've got a few things here under the category of Truth Hunters.
Okay.
We did a VBS this year called Truth Hunters, and the Vacation Bible School content was about the inspiration of the Bible.
Okay.
So you're studying 5 different categories of evidence for the inspiration of the Bible.
Okay.
Archaeology, scientific foreknowledge, unity.
Yeah.
Let's see what
prophecy.
Was the other one? Prophecy.
If I'm thinking of Kyle's lesson.
And legacy.
Yeah, there you go.
And so we thought that's tough material to some degree to get a kid get his head around.
Yeah.
And so we were like, how can we help churches and families retain this, get ready for this?
Yeah.
So we wrote this book, a guy that we worked with before named Josh Harden.
Okay.
He wrote this book for us. I came up with the concept and the characters and the premise of it, and I did the artwork. But Josh Harden wrote this book, and it's a parable. And it's a group of kids who are seeking truth, and they have things they've got to find, and they have obstacles to overcome. And each of these kids represents a quality that a person's going to have to find the truth.
Okay.
And to effectively defend faith. And so this book was intended for families to read in preparation for that study.
Okay.
Now, as a follow-up to that study, we created this board game. And you'll probably open this up and maybe show people this in some other footage or something.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
But this board game, if you've ever played Trivial Pursuit.
I'm going to crush the staff in this board game.
You might.
Like competitive. No, I'm just kidding, James.
Just don't brag about it. That wouldn't be good. But it's based on Trivial Pursuit. It's got 5 categories of questions.
Okay.
And so there's 3 decks of cards in the game. 2 of the decks are based on the VBS.
Okay.
So if you land on the brown square, you'll get asked a question about archaeology.
Okay.
That you studied in that class.
Oh, cool.
If you land on the blue one, you get a question about the legacy of the Bible and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But if you didn't go to VBS, let's say you didn't go and you're like, well, I can't play the game. Well, yes, you can, because there's another deck of cards that's just Bible questions.
Okay.
So each different color represents a different part of the Bible.
Okay.
You land on red, you get the Gospels. You land on blue, you get the New Testament, so on. And so in order to help families, because there's lots of different levels of questions.
Yeah.
I've got 8 to 14 years old in my kids. And we all play. They all get some right. They all get some wrong.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but yet they feel like they know a lot of things.
Well, even the ones that are getting wrong, they're learning.
They're learning.
Yeah.
And so we created this booster pack. It's got 1,000 more general Bible questions. It's only like $9. And you can just keep playing.
Wow.
And there's cards in here that are kind of like community chest and chance and Monopoly, where something's about to happen. Yeah. Something good, something bad, some challenge.
Yeah.
And so it makes it fun. There's some things in the game that are based on the book. So if you've read the book, it's kind of fun. If you haven't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the book has been so well received that there's 2 more coming. So there'll be a trilogy of books with the Truth Hunters characters. And so families can sit around the kitchen table. They can play this board game. They can learn about the Bible, review the Bible. They can read the book together. It's, kids of all ages can read this book. They love it. It's exciting. It's fun. It's adventurous, but it's also got a lot of really important themes that it's trying to teach. And so I heard a great story. I was at congregation in Sparta, Tennessee a few weeks ago, and one of the elders came up and he had the book and he had a very serious look on his face.
Oh boy.
He said, "Did you do this book?" And I almost wanted to say, "It depends."
I don't know. Tell me first.
He's looked really serious, but he proceeded to tell me the story of, I believe it was his granddaughter who had decided to obey the gospel after reading this book. And this book is not about obeying the gospel.
Yeah.
But this book jogged something in this young lady's mind that caused her to take her faith more seriously. And she became a Christian because of reading this book. At least that was part of it. And so, that was a really encouraging thing to hear, because it wasn't intended to be evangelistic in that sense.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't written like muscle and a shovel or anything. Right. There was something in it.
God can use creative things to draw people to him. Mm-hmm. And what he does with things is beyond our control. Mm-hmm. We can't plan it and we can't anticipate it, but we can certainly see when he does it. So just a joy to be able to pour yourself into things like this and then let them go and watch God do his thing with this stuff.
Well, and I think, like as an adult, there's so much out there for like me to learn and study, like once you get to be, I joke that like 18-year-old Aaron would be like ashamed to be known with 40-year-old Aaron. Yeah. Like the things I like to read about, like history, like my 18-year-old self would have been like, all right.
Boring.
Boring. Get out of here,
Yeah.
So it's like you have younger generations, and I know there are young 13, 14-year-olds like to read about history,
Yeah.
Good for you. You're on a much better path than I was at 13 or 14.
No friends.
Yeah. All your books, No, but like these are things that it's using creativity to make things that younger people like can be excited about.
Yeah.
And draw them from this gap of just reading the text, which some kids love to do, and that's great. But maybe the ones that aren't drawn to that, like ways you can bring them closer to like meet them halfway, with like creative things that they're interested in and just be excited about. I just think the stuff you guys are doing is awesome.
Well, that means a lot. We appreciate it. And, I think of, when Jesus was trying to reach people, he told a lot of stories.
He did.
And he used parables to teach truths. And that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to put something together and trying to do it, like Paul said, trying to become all things to all men so that we might win some.
Yeah.
And, if the world presents a tool, I think God wants us to use it for his glory, unless we're not able to. But I think we're able to use a lot of the tools that are out there for good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative things about AI or about, media or entertainment or cartoons or graphic novels or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative things. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
But it's just a tool.
Yeah.
And we serve the ultimate creator.
Yeah.
And we have seen the good that he can do with his creation. And so on a smaller scale, we can do the same.
Well, the devil always tries to take something good that God has done and corrupt it.
Yeah.
So it's like with this kind of creative stuff, God's the ultimate creator. What's the whole Bible to start off with? The account of God's creation, And so God's a creator. He empowered these men with the spirit of wisdom in the Old Testament. I've been going through every passage recently, just personal study from Genesis to Revelation, looking at the spirit, it's like God's spirit and the spirit of wisdom, it's paralleled. And so it's like God, his spirit, this wisdom, this creativity. And of course, the devil's going to try to corrupt it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it for godly purposes,
Absolutely.
And look, I don't work for AP.
You do now.
No, I don't know.
You just don't know it.
Well, I asked you to come because I don't want someone to watch this and say like, this is just like a glorified infomercial. No, I asked you guys, you need to come and talk about this because I know what impact it's made on my life with my kids. And I want other people to experience that and honestly, it's really cool too. Like, it's not just like, I'm doing it for the kids, No, it's like, I love it too. So this is awesome, man.
I'm really grateful to be able to be invited to come. And on behalf of AP, thank you for letting me come and present these materials, and all glory to God.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And we just hope that people who can get it can use it to strengthen their families and their faith.
And if someone's watching this, you mentioned this earlier, but I just am thinking about it more now, is like an evangelistic opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like if your kid is on a ball team or something, and there are other families who are religious and you're trying to find a way to reach them, like give them a pack, you can't tell me if I went to like a middle school age kid and said like, that's a religious kid that goes to church somewhere, and gave them this pack, that they wouldn't open this up and be like, this is the coolest thing I've seen. Like I'm shocked. We need to do some Instagram reels, Facebook reels of just these Bible cards. Cause If you guys haven't sold out, I don't know how you guys, are you sold out of them already?
Sold out of our first printing.
Okay. Do you know when the
second printing came in before that happened?
Okay.
So we anticipated some of that.
Smart. Yeah.
So we have them.
Okay, cool.
And hopefully
by the time this airs, you'll still have it, but
but we're just so excited. We've got a guy that works for us now. He's going to start full time in January.
Awesome.
Who is, going to look into, Lord willing, places like Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Will they
carry it
to carry these?
Yeah.
And, whatever God wants to do with these, we want him to do. So again, we're just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
We don't really want anyone's name attached to this. It doesn't matter who's responsible for it. It's just, it's the Bible in pictures.
Yeah.
And it gets kids excited. It gets moms and dads excited. It can instantly, like the stories that flooded in during PTP, not after, during PTP, about kids in the backs of their minivans, quizzing their parents on Bible cards and Bible characters, and mom and dad are like, I'm going to have to look into that one. Yeah. I don't remember that guy, but just
I think I know. Do you know?
Yeah. An instant interest in the Bible.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell me more about this guy. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't underestimate, and you can't plan for this. Like I said, we had no idea what kind of impact this would have. I mean, you think, there's been things that we've worked on before that we all thought, oh, that's going to go crazy. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
But this has been pretty successful.
Man. Well, this is awesome. So tell me about some of the VBS stuff you guys are doing too, the Vacation Bible School packets. What are some of the programs that you have that people can use for theirs? Yeah,
again, like I said earlier, that's been basically my full-time job from 2019 all the way up until last year.
Yeah.
And we created 5 Vacation Bible School packages.
Okay.
And the difference between AP's material and the other companies that do this, and there's some good ones out there. All 5 of ours are available from now on.
Awesome.
So you can get any of them.
Okay.
Anytime.
Cool.
So if you don't know that we have Vacation Bible School material, you can start now and you'd have 5 years worth.
Awesome.
So we did one. Our first one was on the flood.
I remember that one.
The one you mentioned earlier.
Noah,
strong Noah.
Peptide Noah.
Right. And then we did one called Fearless.
Okay.
Which is based on the deeds of the defenders. It's based on how to build a fearless faith as you look through the book of Acts.
Awesome.
And the third one is called Operation Creation.
Okay.
It was basically an evolution versus creation study.
Cool.
And kind of uses some cool characters. You're one of them.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah, me and Don. Yeah.
Turned some people into some characters to teach some lessons. And then we did a study on the name of Jesus, which is an apologetics study on Christ and his historicity and his deity and different things about him. And then the last one was Truth Hunters.
That's cool.
And so on the inspiration of the Bible. Yeah. So obviously an apologetics based content.
Yeah.
But, also some good textual study in there from time to time.
Yeah.
And, again, very, very much ready to use all of the craft ideas, all of the posters, all of the different graphics that you would need, the teacher's manuals, the student workbooks, the videos, the PowerPoints. Everything is available to get. Some of them have really cool kind of bonus items that you can use, like little comic books.
Cool.
And again, a board game and a book that go with this one. And just a lot of neat ways of pulling kids in and parents in. There's adult material for all of these Vacation Bible Schools. Advertising materials are included. And so everything you can think of for any kind of Vacation Bible School that your church might want to do, whether it's a 1-day or a 5-day, everything you need will be in that material. So all of those VBSs are on our website. They each have their own dedicated website.
Okay.
And there's instructional videos that you can watch to tell you a little bit more about each one of them. But it was a lot of fun working on those. Again, I worked on them for about a year at a time.
That's cool.
Doing every part of it.
Yeah.
And then, it comes out at a certain time of year. And it's just neat to see them going out the door every year. But we may do another one. We may not.
Okay.
But those 5 are out there.
Awesome.
Perpetually, Lord willing, for anybody who wants to use them. So we're excited about it. And lots of churches, hundreds of churches have used that material and to some success. And I got like the Sparta church that I was telling you about. Yeah. They did the Truth Hunters this past summer, and I got to go there and teach the adult class. And boy, they just decorated their building. It was just amazing, just transformative the way that they decorated it and went all in.
Yeah.
And the kids were just so excited, having such a good time learning about the characters and what they represented and all the different evidence for the Bible. So it's a very gratifying job.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. And because you sit in your office all day, every day, not really knowing what's going to happen with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get to go to a place like the West Sparta congregation and see what they're doing with it and see how God is being glorified and how people are being brought to Christ. And it's humbling and gratifying. So yeah, that's a little bit about VBS. But
well, I just think all the work you guys are doing it's the thing that I also love about it is it's combining like really solid stuff, like some of the things you're talking about, like with lessons Kyle has done. I remember I joke with Kyle and Eric, they need to refilm the Pillars of Faith seminars because I watched all 19 of those 10, 15 years ago. And like the lesson Kyle did on the Bible and science, I had that lesson memorized so much that the first time I preached it, I emailed Kyle. I was before GB and I never met him. And I said, I'm going to preach this lesson, but like, I just want you to know, because if you hear it, I'm not like plagiarizing it. Like I have it almost memorized. Yeah. And he basically said, I said, I'll give you credit. And he said, no, you don't have to give me credit. And I said, no, I want to give you credit. And he actually said, well, if you mess it up, like if the lesson's bad, I don't want anybody to think that it was me or something. So I was like he was joking, obviously,
of course.
But that content in that lesson was so good that I had essentially memorized it because I was so afraid it was the first time I preached. I like practiced it so many times that I was like years later in a cab and a guy that picked me up, the cab driver, was Muslim. And he was asking me about Christianity. And, he said, why do you believe the Bible over the Quran? And from that lesson, I said, well, the Quran, the Hindu Vedas, they all claim to be from God. Here's why I believe the Bible's different. And I went through the scientific foreknowledge from Kyle's lesson. And the guy was like, I have never heard of any of that, like just from that one lesson of Kyle's. And so to hear that kind of content is now in like a VBS for kids about the inspiration of why the Bible. The Book of Mormon says it's from God. I still remember Kyle's lesson. He's like, Harry Potter sold this many copies, like to know that kind of content is in a VBS, like that's high level content. It's not like throw away, like, I don't want to say low hanging fruit, but it's like, it's stuff that you will be able to use to defend the truth in the real world.
And it's so cool because the Bezalel and Aholiab stuff, it's very similar because Bezalel and Aholiab working on the tabernacle was the coming together of so many things that just sort of merged to be exactly what was needed at the time. All of the guys at AP have been writing and studying and doing all this stuff for long before I ever got there.
Yeah.
And so to be able to come and them say, hey, do whatever you want with this stuff.
Yeah.
Make something different out of it.
Yeah.
Adapt it, arrange it. That's what that VBS material is. Yeah. It's like, hey, I've got access to all of this material. Man. And so like the first week I was at AP, all I did was read everything they had written on the flood.
Yeah.
And I learned more about the flood in a week
I believe
than I had learned in my whole life.
Yeah.
And all of that VBS came from that study.
Yeah.
And so that's really the perfect marriage, if you will, of all of that great content that those guys had written. And I get to come in with a different skill set and do something with it and let it go in another direction that, maybe people who've never heard of AP can learn that same material when they're 5 years old.
Yeah.
Or 10 years old.
Yeah.
or a different adapted version of it. And so that's a cool thing.
That is a cool thing.
And I can imagine that when Bezalel and Aholiab, looked at that tabernacle for the first time and watched people going in and worshiping God and seeing the presence of God in their tabernacle.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty neat.
That's cool.
So I have a little bit of that, when I see somebody using that material, or when I see somebody enjoying a Bible card or a family devotional book, it's neat.
Yeah.
And it's humbling.
Yeah.
And it's not me. It has nothing to do with
it's getting
me.
to be a part of something.
It's being like part of what God is doing.
Yeah.
And that's what those guys must have felt like.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This is thoroughly, and I've enjoyed this. I was excited. I get excited when guys come in, but I've been excited about this stuff.
Me too.
To talk about and to let other people know about it, And I'm very excited for people to see this, to implement it in their families, and to get to watch their kids enjoy it. So, and themselves too. So thanks
Praise
for being
God.
here.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for watching this episode of the Authentic Christian Podcast. Go to our social media. Remember, we're going to give away these products that we've been talking about, some of those. Check out apologeticspress.org.
That's right.
Yeah, I sent 3 people there today in email Bible questions. Aaron, what is this? I'm like, here's an article. Here's an AP article. Here's an AP article. Apologeticspress.org. Check out all the great information they have there, and check out some of the creative resources they have to teach your family. Thanks for watching this episode of the Authentic Christian Podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Jeremy. We'll see you back on the next episode. Thanks for watching the Authentic Christian Podcast. If you want to watch more content like the Authentic Christian, different programs, other podcasts that you want to learn about the Bible, I'd recommend you download our app, the Gospel Broadcasting Network app. Just get on the App Store. You also can find it on Roku, iTunes, etc. Search Gospel Broadcasting Network, download the app, and you can see the show, The Authentic Christian, and many, many other shows, dozens of shows, other podcasts, other shows that walk you through verse by verse through different books of the Bible, or even just different topical shows. So I would recommend you download the Gospel Broadcasting Network app. Thanks for watching.